Is the board really confident in the long-term value and opportunities for IWG? That is what IWG seems to be saying, but shareholders perhaps don't believe it. How can you convince them?
Well, yes, the board are confident in the future. In fact, going through the process with these different investment companies actually compounded the board's expectations and outlook for the future. It was a very detailed process, made us look at the business differently, and so yes, we are convinced overall on the future value. Plus, you'll see we also put out our interim results this morning. Strong set of results. You know, the underlying trend's good, with both the mature doing very well, new centres doing well, and additional growth. And underlying all of that, strong cash flow, and we up the dividend.
What's the next step? Would you consider a management buyout?
The next step is actually to focus on the business. You know, basically we have a great business. It's an expanding sector. It's very probably the future of the real estate industry as it converts in a digital world. So, you know, that is what the focus is. The focus is on growing the business, growing our global platform, adding more cities to it. You know, that is our focus. Our focus is not on any other corporate activity at the moment.
Right. So does that mean you're not considering a management buyout then?
You would be right in that assumption.
Okay. I understand that you're saying you're focusing on the business, and you've sort of said that the numbers coming through today are fairly positive, but others might say that your UK business is finding life tough. Why is that when we're regularly told that companies are increasingly seeking shorter leases?
Well, the UK business, you know, basically the UK business is a huge business for a start. So it's not, there are parts of the UK business that are doing very well. We continue to grow the UK business. We've added quite a few centres, both in London, but also throughout the country. So, you know, it's a very good business in the UK. It's not a bad business. What's causing the weakness is some of the older centres coming out of the network for refurbishment, the ones we want to keep, and some closures of centres that have become too old for the network. You know, we generally would reopen with a new centre, and there's a closure of an old centre that can incur costs. Most of those costs are non-cash. And it's just a general, when you have a big platform, there are times when you do some tidying up. Now is that time in the UK.
Right. And how much, you mentioned some costs there. Can you quantify that for us? How much will it cost to modernise some of these older centres?
The cost, the actual capital cost, you know, it's sort of in the tens of millions. And some of that we do jointly with the owners of the property, so they're supporting that investment. It's not all our investment. The real cost is when those centres have to be closed for refurbishment. So that sort of gives you a like-for-like, that hits your like-for-like growth numbers, because the revenue you did have is no longer there, but the costs are still in place.
Yeah.
So,
is London oversupplied? Mark, is London oversupplied in general with short-term space?
No, not at all. So there's nothing like an oversupply. This is overall a growing industry. So this is, you know, in the end, when you break it all down, this is what the customer wants. So we're seeing good customer growth in places like London and across the UK. And globally, you know, it's a global phenomenon. This is all about real estate being disrupted overall by both digital and by the customer saying, look, we want service on an easy-to-use platform. We don't want to deal with the real estate industry with all of its complications and sort of rigidity. We want agility, not rigidity. So that's what makes the prospects for our platform very good. And you'll see in this half-year number, the interims this morning, over 40% of the growth was done in partnership with property owners and investors. So more investors want to start providing space on our platform, and that clearly is a very, very strong sign.
Mark, given the 6-month delay before Brookfield and Onyx can come up with a new bid is almost over, would you consider other approaches? Do you think you could get any other approaches?
It's not really for me to say. This is a question for the board. Look, it's a public company. It's clearly, people from time to time can come with propositions to our chairman and the board as a whole. So I can't really speak for them. But at all times, again, speaking for the board and how they operate, they're trying to do the best for all shareholders. So, really, if at any time, companies want to come forward with an offer, I'm sure the board would consider those.